There's not a fucking genocide happening in the Gaza Strip. In 2000 BC, God promises Abraham that his descendants will inherit the land of Canaan. That's Israel, not Palestine. 1000 BC, King David establishes Jerusalem as Israel's capital. So under King Saul, King David, and King Solomon, the 12 tribes of Israel were united into one kingdom. And this is long before Islam ever existed. 930 BC, after King Solomon's death, the kingdom split into two kingdoms. Those were the northern kingdoms that were comprised of the 10 tribes, and the southern kingdoms that comprised of Judah and Benjamin. 722 BC, Assyria exiled the 10 northern tribes of Israel. 586 BC, Babylon exiles the tribe of Judah and Benjamin and destroys the first temple. Islam is still not in existence right now. 538 BC, Persia's first king, Cyrus, freed the Jews from Babylonian captivity. The Jews were allowed to return and rebuild. We're going to correct the historical record because y'all got to get this work. Now fast forward to 135 AD. Rome crushes a Jewish revolt. This is the Bar Kokhba revolt. And to humiliate the Jews, Emperor Hadrian renames Judah to Palestina after Israel's historic enemy, the Philistines. This is where the word Palestine originates. It was meant to mock the Jews. Palestina was an insult, not a native people. So the name Palestine is Roman. It's not Arab. 313 to roughly about 636 AD. Now this is where Christianity starts to emerge. The Holy Land became Islamized by force, churches were destroyed, and the synagogues were silenced. And the Christians were subjected to pay the jizya tax. 1099 AD, the Crusaders retake Jerusalem after centuries of Islamic oppression. 1187 AD, Saladin recaptures Israel for Islam, and the back and forth continues. Fast forward to 1517 to 1917 AD. The Ottoman Empire controls the land. Jews and the Christians were considered second-class citizens under Islamic law, and that lasted roughly 400 years. 1917 AD, the British liberate Jerusalem from Islamic rule. 1948, Israel is declared an independent state, and almost immediately, the surrounding Arab nations wage war. Go read about the Nakba, and you'll find out that those 5 Muslim nations suffered severe casualties in the process of trying to annihilate Israel. There's so much more to the story, but fast forward, 1967 AD. This is relative to our time now. Fortunately, this was considered a miracle by the state of Israel, because in just 6 days, they took what was going to be a war for their destruction and proceeded to expand their borders. Although the Muslims lose military dominance, they do not lose their hatred. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union pumped Marxist ideology into the Arab world. So Arab nationalism, anti-Zionism, and Palestinian liberation were all just Trojan horses for communism. Western educated Iranian elites funneled communist literature back to their home country. 2005, Israel unilaterally withdraws from Gaza. It was taken over by Hamas, which turned the territory into a terrorist launching ground. You may have progressive Muslim scholars that say Islamic hostility isn't political, which is bullshit. The real apartheid is ran by Hamas and Fatah, who, by the way, haven't had elections in almost 2 decades. Just want to throw that out there. So as you can see today, they control the media, they brainwash children, they celebrate terrorism. Let's just be clear, this is not a land dispute. It is not a land dispute. This is a theological war wrapped in Marxist propaganda, funneled by Iran, endorsed by the Western left, and executed by jihadists. Yeah, the Jews are indigenous to Judea. The Arabs are indigenous to the Arabian Peninsula. Islam spread by way of converting pagan tribes by the sword. The Quran explicitly warns Muslims, take not Jews and Christians as allies unless they pay the jizya and feel themselves subdued. Christians have a moral basis for offering principled support to Israel, which is wise leadership and fortitude, the courage to confront evil. There were 3 significant factors that helped pave the way for Christianity. 1, Judaism. Judaism provided the historic foundation for the Christian faith, and it also gave us monotheism and messianic prophecy. 2. Greek philosophy. Now, Greek philosophy, especially Platonism, prepared the world for the idea of a transcendent God. It also gave us the vocabulary, such as the logos, which is the reason or the soul. At this time, it was extremely difficult trying to explain monotheism and the idea that a God would become a man and die for ancient pagans. This is why Greek philosophy helped reconcile these ideas. And the last important factor was the Roman civilization, which established peace, law, and order, which allowed Christianity to spread. Christian orthodoxy rejects the idea that the nation of Israel still has a separate covenant with God. The old covenant was fulfilled by the new covenant through Christ. The far left views Israel, as well as the United States, as a colonial oppressor. There's a new phenomenon happening on the right called the woke right. Shout out to Teach 'em Chuck for coining that term. The woke right is often steeped in conspiracies and anti-globalist rhetoric, and they blame Israel for being a proxy for elite control.
Because Israel's controlling our government. So no, the answer is no. Trump is powerless against him. I don't think we've been a sovereign nation since they shot JFK. And when I say they, it's like people online say, what do you mean by they? I'm talking about Israel. I don't want you guys to read in between. I'm talking about Israel. So let's stop making that a taboo subject because they've gone mask down. Everything they're doing is demonic. I want nothing to do with it. I will never support Israel after what they've done to these children. The starvation campaign. I don't care. I do not support Israel. And I don't think that Jewish Americans should support Israel. I hope that they're now having those conversations. I see many of them recognizing that they have been propagandized into believing they have to support this demonic state.
You could make a case that whatever we're giving to Israel this year in the form of direct aid, military assistance, loan guarantees, however we're doing it, is good for the United States. I think you just have to make that case.
Why is it good for the United States?
Well, you could make that case.
Yeah, but why is it?
I'm not convinced.
What is the case?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to be an advocate for it. You are a vociferous advocate for it, so why don't you tell me?
The far left and the woke right, although they ideologically oppose each other, they unite in hostility towards Israel. That is what you call the horseshoe theory. It's when the two extremes meet where truth is abandoned.